Good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending where you are. Um, uh, Steve Zurinsky here with the Society of Australasian Specialists, and we're very happy to have presentations tonight, one by Roy Materne on Papua New Guinea departure tax. I always thought when people went to Papua New Guinea, they don't leave, but maybe that's maybe a conversation for another day.
Or they try to
And,
get out quickly, one of the two.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then David Hopper will be talking on Australia, definitive uh, uh, analysis. He's looking at a series from the I guess mid '70s, early '80s. So we're going to start with Roy. Roy, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I don't know if you've got a complete full screen, but I'll start this little presentation. It's a short presentation on departure tax revenue stamps and labels that I've collected. And it's a rather simple situation, and I'll start with the title page. I published a book back in 2019. And I would like to think that it's a definitive statement of all of the labels and stamps that have been issued in Papua New Guinea. So we'll go on to it now. And yes, it all started back in 1973 with a situation where the government of the day decided that they'd introduce a departure tax. And to do that, they had to go through Parliament, and there you see a statutory instrument number 36 that specified the design layout of the labels.
Roy, you want to go to slideshow because we're seeing your screen and then all of your slides on the left.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned that. Yes.
Where's slideshow?
Upper left.
I've got it. Okay. I've got your screen sharing in green. Shall I cancel that or stop share or?
No. There should be.
On the PowerPoint menu across the top to File, Home, Insert, Drive, one of them is Slideshow. Select Slideshow.
Okay, I've
There,
got
slideshow in the middle.
There we
That's
go.
it. Click on that.
And then go to the
From the
left
beginning.
from beginning.
Yeah, all the way to the left there.
Okay.
Again, the last slide, hit Slideshow again.
Go back to the top here. Yeah. Click on slideshow. Now go all the way to the left. Oop.
Got to stay in the slideshow box after you select it.
That it?
No.
Go to slideshow.
Go back to slideshow.
Yeah.
Double click on it.
Now come across slowly, and don't go out of the box.
Stay in the gray box. Come down.
Yeah,
Now
good.
Keep going left from the beginning.
Left where it says from beginning.
All the way to the end.
There.
That's it.
Click that.
I see
There we go.
the blind man. Are you happy now? Okay. I'll continue.
As long as I have a beer.
Yeah, okay. That was the first page. I'll buy you a beer when you come to Australia, Steve.
That just makes me happy.
Okay. Yeah, the government issued the statutory instrument with a small diagram of what they wanted, and if you see what the paperwork said and what finished up, it was pretty close to what they wanted. Just for interest, it was just moments before the start of Air New Guinea, and it was a preparation for self-government and then going on to independence. So it was a very busy time in Papua New Guinea. So a very simple ticket book kind of setup was made initially. So we start off with what I call the number one setting. My category RM1 was the first lot of labels that were printed, and they were in the Australian currency. airport departure tax $2, coat of arms, passenger's copy right on the bottom. In the second example on the on the bottom of the page, you may see already that there's a change in the lettering and numerals of the tickets. So that already indicates that there's a second reprint. Noteworthy on these initial labels are the red dashed lines on the left-hand side indicating that the tickets were rouletted, and that was the case for all of the ticket book type labels. The top one is very interesting because the departure tax started on the 2nd of October 1973. The top example is the 9th of October 73. The bottom one is the 31st of January 1974. So they are two very early examples. The marks that are on the bottom one, horizontal diagonal mark, is a staple rust mark, and these labels were stapled to either the ticket or the boarding pass. So that's number one. Number two came in. If you look at the labels, you'll see that the labels are almost identical, except that it's got a 2 kina currency instead of Australian dollars. Again, if you look at the labels, you'll see that it's a ticket book, top one B, and the bottom one is B, but again, you can see a difference in passenger receipt and size of the lettering, etc. So indicating, again, reprints. The major change there also going to passenger receipt. For those of you that are interested in currencies, I included the Australian exchange rate. I haven't got the American one there. We now stay with the type number 2 label, but we go for tax increases. So from the 23rd of January 79, the tax was increased to 5 kina. And I put the note in there, the same design as the 2 kina labels. Now, the same design was held throughout the whole use of these labels. Now, in traveling is an indication of group travel, and it's a ticket from my family when we traveled. You can see 49, 50 and 51. The exempt label is an Australian exempt label for a child, my daughter, when we returned to Papua New Guinea. We now go to category catalogue number 3, and it reflects a title change. They realised that not all departures were from airports, they were also from ship ports, so they generalised and said overseas departure tax. Tax was increased to 10 kina, and the same, up until now, the adult and children were all at the same tax rate. Then in 1982, for one whole year, the government decided that they were going to charge the adults a little bit more money, 20 kina, and keep the people under 18 years 10 kina. You've got an example there. And the example there you can see is the 2 boarding passes. Well, it's the same boarding pass. All 4 departure tax labels were stapled onto the one boarding pass. So I've just lifted one to show you a child. The one on the left is the adult. You can determine which of these passes are adult or children, but the easiest way is by having a 1982 year date stamped on those labels. This is just an example of the departure tax starting at number 1, and as you can read there, the high 20 kina tax was unpopular. The government of the day bowed to public dislike and returned the tax to 10 kina for both adults and children. At that time, a kina was worth about 28 Australian dollars. So you've got a normal boarding pass number 1 there on the right, 82701. And on this next page here, you can see a sequence of boarding passes right through to 82600. That indicates that these ticket books were printed in numbers of 100. For 10 years, the tax remained at 10 kina, and here is an indication of a label with the alpha prefix of H. I've got prefixes for C, D, E, G, and H, but I don't have an F yet, not yet cited.
Do we know what they're for? I mean, would all of them be used in the airport, or some places used in some port of entries for boats and stuff like that? Or
yes, I have not got a marine use. I've got a from Kieta, use of these labels from Kieta, and I've also seen a use from WeWack or Vonimo. I can't quite remember. You can see that the label there is a 10 kina label, H101641, used in October 1988. We then go on to the H series, where the top label is crossed out, the 10 kina is crossed out, and 12 kina is manuscript added. And I assumed later when I found them that it was the fact that they were changing to a different style and they were just using up old tickets, but the government had increased the tax to 12 kina. So I published the book and I said perhaps it was for planning for a new design to use up old stock. But in September, from a collector in North Queensland, he said, I've got an example of 12 kina printed. So he showed me that example and I was very happy to get that example. And you can see there's still the H series. I'm not sure if the top label is 267. It's the highest number, 267,000. It's the highest number I've seen. And just to end the labels, it's a pretty looking ticket face that I've got there. That I've got a Papua New Guinea departure tax label, manuscript amended. I've got a Singapore fee paid and an exempt Australian tax. And that Australian exempt tax. Yeah, that Australian exempt tax was for myself and not for a child. Okay, a quick review. 3 catalogue types, main subtypes due to large numbers of reprints, identified also by the letter prefixes. So you can identify reprints by distance, the size of the labels, the size of the lettering, the distance apart between the lines of lettering, and then also by the alphabet letter prefix. The government paper was standard stationery stock, 1 colour with different shades, red ink only, all printed in the government Port Moresby suburb of Conidobu, and these were only on sale at airport or seaport points of departure.
they were not meant to be unused. When you paid for it and they slapped it on your ticket.
Exactly. There was no glue, so they were stapled. So it was you presented for airport travellers. I don't know about the seaport departures. For the airport departures, you presented your ticket or boarding pass, and this yellow label was stapled to it.
it seems to me that, I mean, some of these print runs seem to, well, apparent print runs, I mean, you have high numbers, 260,000, and but most of them are in the, 30 to 40, 50,000. It's like, this stuff must be really common because there's so much, because look how many have been printed and have been used, right? But it
It's
can't
a
be
very
like that.
good, yeah, it's a very good point, Steve, but it doesn't look pretty. They don't look pretty. They are stapled onto a ticket, which is more often than not thrown away. It's, I guess, for people elsewhere, I don't know if there are other collectors watching here who are collectors of departure tax labels on from other countries, but yeah, usually they're all thrown away, and that's why they're not common. And the older they are, the rarer they become. So, as we alluded to with the last departure tax label, excuse me, with manuscript over in, it portended to a change of direction. In 1990, tenders were sought for managing the collection of the departure tax. The post office put in a tender and they were successful. And they said, we can do that. And they said, we can print stamps, we can sell the departure tax stamps. And the government statutory instrument said that, yes, you can do that. And then you've got to forward the money to the chief collector of taxes. Now, in Port Moresby, the departure tax payment kiosk remained unchanged at the old Port Moresby terminal. Post office staff from the nearby Jackson Airport Post Office came and handled the selling and applying the stamps if they had to be applied. And in other ports, customs or other appointed collectors were made to do this job. And I think in many places they were customs officers that were there to check the documentation of departing passengers. So they started off with they said, oh, we've got these old 7 Toya stamps, and it's got a pretty picture of a bird, and perhaps people will like that, and we've got lots and lots of them, so they decided to overprint these stamps. To advertise the new stamps, they put out this colourful brochure that you can see on the right-hand side, and it was printed in newspapers and put on notice boards, but these brochures that I picked up on the counter in the post office in Barocco. Just one thing, when you look at the illustration in the brochure and on the actual stamp itself, you'll see that the brochure has the Kina 15 in blocking, a black block, whereas the stamp itself is just open Kina 15.
It's interesting.
Yes.
It's interesting here that they've done away with the serial numbers.
Yes.
I would imagine because they have sheets of stamps now, they say, okay, well, we've sold 10 sheets, therefore we know how many stamps we sold.
Steve, I wonder how many stamps, there must have been millions of stamps, because this was from 1991 until 2000 and, they had stamps. The first printing was a large print, overprint, and they had an unusual font for the letter A and the letter R. I've highlighted it on the bottom left illustration, but I've used arrows to point it out on the actual stamp in the right. You'll see that the right-hand legs of both the A and the R are shortened. And it's most unusual, and I couldn't find any font of amongst the thousands of different fonts that had this, so I can't tell you what kind of font was used to print this. The reprints did occur, and The one example on the left is a first printing, and the one on the right is a second printing. You can notice the clarity in the difference. Same printing format was used, but slightly thinner. And the arrow on the left example is pointing to a tiny little dot between the D and the E. That is one of the dots and spots varieties that I have noted in the stamps. Coming up, we've got another prominent one that you can see between the letters T and the U. At the base foot of the letter T, you can see that dot. That's a prominent spot. And the reason I know these things is that you've got two stamps there that have got the same dot there. The reason I know these varieties was that back in November 1990, I was at the Philatelic Bureau to buy stamps, and we got talking with, I think it was John Wallop at the time, and he said, oh, there's going to be a change with the departure tax. And he said, look, this is what we're doing. I said, oh, that looks good. And I said, can I have a photocopy? And he photocopied a sheet of these stamps. And if you can see from my thing, that's the photocopy I've got of the complete sheet of stamps. Rather dark, so I scanned it and I lightened it, and I could pick up three different varieties, recurring varieties. I've only shown two. There's another nice one, but I thought, well, two's enough. The interesting thing is the comment has made by David and others, the clarity of the printing of the overprint on these stamps, and the fact that they don't have the dots and spots. Those of you who have followed Papua New Guinea reprints will note that the quality of overprinting left a lot to be desired, with stray dots and spots appearing on the stamps and in no regular manner. But these three dots and spots were regular appearances, and you can see the rest of the stamp is quite clean. So now we go on to the next stamp, and it's a somewhat similar to the earlier one, but the printing is thicker and the rate of spacing is shorter. So you've got a larger gap between the X of tax and the Kina 15. This is a rather unusual stamp, a rarer stamp. I've only got 3 or 4 examples. I can't remember exactly how many, but all of my examples are on the face of tickets. David has shown me an example where he's got one stamp on a boarding pass, but the other examples are on tickets. Now, they are all placed neatly on the front of tickets, and I believe, and I know for a fact that in one lot they were put on by staff of the either the Qantas or Air Niugini sales staff in their offices when they sold the tickets. If I can just elaborate that a little bit further for those that are watching, the example I have is of people who were living in Finschhafen, which is about 150 odd kilometers to the east of Lae. Rather not remote, but out in the sticks a little bit. Were traveling to Australia. So they were working for a mission. They got their mission office to get the Qantas staff to write the tickets. They arrived in Lae, were handed their tickets with the departure tax stamp already fixed to the face of the ticket. And these are the ones with the unusual printing. So I think that this departure tax, while not exclusive, was printed specifically for sales officers of Qantas and perhaps Air Niugini, so that they didn't have to go to a post office to get them.
Between the two of us. 5 and 7.
I'm sorry, Ian, I couldn't hear that. Anyway, I'll continue. No varieties were recorded there. And there you've got an example of the ticket on the face of the stamp on the face of a ticket. And that's the family that I know that travelled that day. So then we go on to the third departure tax stamp, Kina departure tax 15 Kina, the value 7 Toya value blocked out, and usage noted from 1993 to 1998. Perhaps in my own collection, not quite as common as the number one, the first variety.
Do it that way. But I've never noticed things. Yeah, because the white camera is different. Yeah.
Who's talking? Please,
Yeah, try how it'd be more.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
minimize
Don't you have the
noise.
ability to turn off all the microphones, Stephen?
Okay, that's an example of the Kina tax was raised from 15 to the departure tax, I should say, was in 1998 was raised to 30 Kina. On the bottom, you've got an example of a ticket with the 215 Kina stamps placed on the ticket front. On the right, you've got a strip of a right-hand edge strip of 5 of the 15 Kina departure tax. Unfortunately, when I got that, the loose one that came with it, I misplaced it, or it's lying around somewhere and I haven't been able to match it up again, but it indicated that there was 3 passengers were departing on that one flight. This is a departure tax stamp that's received quite a lot of publicity around the world. It's the only known example of the overprint rather, upside down. It's got a quite an interesting history. It was found in a dealer's box, and as I wrote in my book, supposedly 2 people scratching through that box saw it at the same time. One person grabbed it and was successful, the other one missed out. It has been bought and resold several times, and it is now in my possession. I have got it in my collection. I've tried to do a lot of research onto who Mr. Barton was, trying to find out was the 2 tickets, was there a Mr. and Mrs. Barton, or was it just a Mr. Barton? And if there was a Mrs. Barton, what's happened to the other ticket? And unfortunately, my research was done at a time after the records from the Qantas office in Port Moresby were, I guess, destroyed, and I knew the people in the Qantas office in Port Moresby, so they could not help me. I've searched high and low. People, look out for that. It's quite a valuable stamp, that one, if you can find another one. And of course, you'll let me know too, won't you? So we have just a review, 1 stamp, but 3 printings, no varieties for types 5 and 6, only for type 4. And the reason I say that is that my sample size for number 5 and number 6 are very small. Sale from the post offices were small. You could still see type number 4 in post office books at the back of the book in 1998. In 1998, the amendment was made so that from 1st of January 1998, the tax could be included in the cost of a ticket. Tickets, however, written prior to the 1st of April 1998 could still be used could still use stamps. Now, the reason why they wrote that in is that perhaps you said that you wanted the ticket to fly from Port Moresby to Brisbane, but only in 8 months' time, and consequently, the ticket was written without the departure tax written in the ticket. After the 1st of April, all tickets had to include the departure tax. Now, my last little a lot of examples is a terminal facilities charge. The Civil Aviation Authority released a press release advising all international passengers that Port Moresby passengers had to pay a 30 kina terminal facilities charge. Money was to be used to sustain adequate facilities at the international terminals. Now, as a little bit of gossip, not long after this was all brought into action, passengers arrived on the Air Guinea flight from Brisbane, and when they got to the airport, the aero bridge was unserviceable. So then they had to walk downstairs across a hot tarmac into the terminal, and there was no air conditioning in the terminal because of some modifications. And when they went to pick up their bags, the conveyor belt wasn't even working. So there was 1 or 2 days where passengers weren't happy about that. The effective date was from 2001. Peel and stick stickers were used and sold in the nearby duty-free store. From the 1st of November 2003, the terminal facilities charge was increased to 60, and from 2004, like the departure tax, the facilities charge was incorporated into the cost of a ticket. So there you have an example of this terminal facilities charge, and I've highlighted it. Now, if you go back to have a look, I've used that same example you can see there and highlighted it. The bottom left-hand corner, the top example is the bottom left-hand corner, highly magnified, and you can see the black arrow written pointing to what appears to be a grey line. It is actually a very micro-printed CAA Papua New Guinea going repetitively across the whole bottom of the ticket. So if you looked at it from a distance, you'd say it's just a greyish black line. The ticket, again, I've computer generated so that you can see it more clearly. There is a CAA underprint on the ticket. So that's another security device there. Examples of single use, and on the right, double use, 60 kina, and more often than not, the peel and stick label was put on the back of a boarding pass, because if you put 2 of them, excuse me, on the front of the boarding pass, it would cover up information required for the embarkation process. And we now come to a quick summary. You can have a look at that. Over to you, Steve, if you want to ask any questions, but that's the end of my presentation.
Oh, the chart's great. And this is all very common stuff, obviously, since you have so much of it.
Common stuff, my foot. The one, RM number 4 is the one I have the most examples, but all of the others are relatively scarce. The yellow labels, I collected them when we travelled as passengers, so I've got a fair handful and a fair sprinkling of labels to form a pretty good idea of what went on.
Now, the K60 terminal facilities charge, they didn't issue a stamp for that. They just used the K30s, right?
Yes, the same peel and stick label.
Yeah.
By the way, the peel and stick label were issued in sheets of 30. They, I've got an example of an example from the right-hand sheet where there is a portion of the selvage remaining on that peel and
Oh,
stick
nice.
label. Hmm.
Interesting. And I was in New Guinea in PNG in 1999. As you know, we had lunch, I think.
Yes.
And I don't think the departure tax was in effect at that time. It had stopped like 6 months or 9 months earlier, and the terminal facilities charge hadn't quite come out yet. And your chart here kind of indicates that.
Yes. Yeah, I've got supporting documentation the terminal facilities charge was very hard to get some documentation, government documentation, but I do have it. But at the back of my book, I've got an appendix that I can cover for every rate change and rate rise. I've got the required government paperwork, you might call it, statutory releases or whatever, to cover it all.
I think it's great. I open up
Okay.
to anybody who wants to say any questions.
I'll just
Yes,
have one. Yeah, sorry.
How long were
Yes, it's Richard Moss. I've got one query on the RM4. You showed some with a much heavier overprint. It looked
Yes.
to me as though one of them was typo and one of them was litho, because the some of it looked almost as if it was the punch printing on the first ones with the clear edges to them.
I'm not a specialist. Perhaps somebody could answer that, but to the best of my knowledge, the same printing press would have been used. But no, I cannot answer that. Perhaps somebody can shed some light on that.
Well, when you get a typo print, it's actually punched, and you tend to find that the edges are very prominent. There's almost a line round the edge, and it just looked a little bit like that to me. So if they'd been printed on another machine.
Yes, you're right in your observation, but I really went through, I'd say I'd had 50 to 100 examples of RM4, and I had to really search hard to get two examples that look so glaringly different. So there are stages where the overprint might have started off very sharp, as you comment, but over a period of time after they printed a few hundred sheets of the overprinted a few hundred sheets, then I'd say the printing would have got rather
Hazy.
hazy, and the first overprint that looked pretty thick, that they were overprinting stamps left, right, and centre at that time. So if their letters of the alphabet that they were using, etc., they might have been already pretty squashed out flat already. I'm not sure. I'm just speaking openly about that. Your departure tax number RM6, if you have a look at that, that's always, to the best of my knowledge, appeared to be a sharply defined lettering. Just one thing, I don't know how many of you have seen departure tax examples from other countries or whatever. Martin Walker in Australia has put out a excellent display of Australian departure tax stamps. The only other comprehensive display I've seen is David Springbet in the Revenue magazine put out a Hong Kong airport departure tax series of labels. But thank you, Steve, for the ability to giving me the ability to show these stamps. I hope
Oh
they.
no, I think it's tremendous because it's not a often discussed niche of our hobby. It's always the fun stuff.
Yes.
So,
Thank you very much.
okay, thanks. That's it.
We're going to talk about the 1978 trees issue of Australia. You're all thinking, what the heck, that's kind of a boring thing. A lot of my collecting inspiration comes from Rod Perry and his wood chip free zone, where he showed various things that you could look at. So why is it an interesting area? It's the first of what I call these commemorative definitive issues. Australia Post would issue 4 stamps: domestic rate, North American rate, and English rate, Pacific rate, basically. With a commemorative topic, they'd hang out for a year and then they'd do it again. When these were issued in 1978, there was a monster speculative boom going on in Australia. there is a syndicate got together, and tried to corner the market on these stamps, tried to buy them all. So they could jack the values up and sell them. Didn't work, but put a lot of mint sheets in somebody's attic to deal with later. There are half a dozen sets of mint sheets today on eBay for sale. Go buy them, go buy them. Common. Not that many used on cover, but lots of stuff. The series was issued in 1978, June 1978, June 1st. June 30th, Australia Post says, let's change the rates. So they all no longer have a specific use like they did before that. So when you look at my stuff, you'll see stuff in June. So when it's in its period of use, that first 30 days, and then after June, when the rates have changed and how the world responds to that. Rates are central to collecting this issue and most of my collecting. So here's a question for the crowd. People chime in, see if you can give me an answer. How many rate booklets has Australia Post published in the decimal era? How many do you think there are? And the newest one was on the 1st of July, this 2 weeks ago. So how many booklets have been published? Anybody want to throw a number out? Try one. Come on, Foot, you got a number in your head. Put one out there.
99.
You're getting near it. I have 115 different ones that I have found, scanned, downloaded the PDFs, have on my computer. So since the decimal stamps were issued, so that's 66 to 2026, 115 rate booklets. Like I said, the last one was a couple weeks ago. I go to Australia Post website every month, download, make sure I've got the latest booklet, download it. So here's what happened to the rates. June 78, that's what they were issued to do. So domestic standard letter was 18 cents, 25 cents for Zone 1 airmail, Zone 1's New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. 4 and 5 are Europe and North America, and some surface mail stuff. 40 cent. The big use is the Zone 4 airmail rate. The Zone 4 is North America, so it's airmail to Canada, North America. And then Zone 45 cent is Zone 5 airmail, so that's Europe, and a bunch of other odd places get lumped into Europe. I think Kuwait's considered Europe. Kuwait can Australia Post sources. So then after June 30th, there's a whole bunch of new rates out there, and as you scrounge around and as I find covers, I go, I wonder what that rate is, and I add things to this list. A lot of goofy stuff out there. You got international surface mail. It's in 2 categories: Asia, Oceania, all other countries. Now, interestingly enough, Oceania, as these rates evolve over the years, Hawaii is sometimes Oceania and sometimes North America. So who knows what it really is? It's plunk in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so I think it's Oceania, but it's not always. So airmail rates. Did I fix my spelling mistake, Steve? Yes, I did. So Zone 1's what I call near Oceania, New Zealand, PNG, New Hebrides. Zone 2 is further away Oceania, including Brunei and Singapore for some odd reason. Asia sounds like more Asian countries, but Hawaii's caught in Asia at this time. North America, plus all these oddball ones: Afghanistan, Bahrain, the Comores, Cyprus, Israel, Madagascar. Then Zone 5 is Africa and Europe, South America, Caribbean. So those are what you see these things doing. Of course, if I've got a choice between an airmail to a Zone 4 airmail to Canada and a Zone 4 to Bahrain or Afghanistan, I'm taking the other ones. Canadian one goes back in the box. So for the next few slides, we'll talk about June. This is what they're intended to be issued for. So simple domestic letter, 18 cents. I'd be surprised if the cover is even worth 18 cents. It's a pretty boring thing to find. Common, but straight up. Then, or they could try the International Youth Services. I mean, where would we be in modern cover collecting without these guys? Somebody thought, 18 cents won't work. Let's throw that in the surface mail, see where it goes. Well, not enough. So there's the deficiency calculation explained there. But it's just couple of uses of the 18-cent stamp. There's nothing very exotic that I can do with that one. And a standard registered letter, so $2 for registration, 18 cents for the letter. The passport off, the British High Commission is very good about letting their covers go after the fact too. I got an awful lot of covers. Then we go to 25 cents. It's a Zone 1 airmail letter. Not too tough to New Zealand, I guess. You know, they're out there, but they're not easy to find. None of this stuff's easy to find. It really is fairly difficult, particularly in June. After June, much more common. June, pretty tricky. Postcard rate, Zone 4, Zone 5, same postcard rate, two different zone areas. One's in Europe, obviously one's in North America, United States. One with an airmail sticker, one with a weird little smart of air. Hopefully they fall for it. Zone 4 airmail letters. So you've got a 10 grammer and a 20 grammer. North America. I think these would be fairly common. When Rod Perry was alive and we were pursuing this pretty hard, we got up to about 20 of these 40-cent covers reported worldwide. Not very common. And then now you have a non-standard because it's big and it's heavy. So it has a 40-cent letter rate is 40 cents. Registration is still $2. So you've got this non-standard to make it all fit. I spent a lot of my time sorting out these stupid rates. Zone 5 airmail letter. So it's a 10-gram airmail letter, youth services in Finland. Nice, very nice cover. 45 cent was also Perfin VG. I have a lot of these government postal cards that were cards that were slipped into the mailing, a mailing tag, a plastic transparent mailing tag, or slipped in there, and that paid the postage. They were postmarked, off it went. And then when it came back to return it, they just flipped the card over, put more stamps on the back, stamp, postmark it, and send it back. So there's something on the back of that card. I don't know what. It's something, and more stamps on the back of that card. And there are lots of these. I locked into a lot of about 500 of the bloody things. So,
Wow.
bits of interesting pieces there. Also in June, registered letter, Zone 4, 18 cent being used up to make all this come together. 2 cent, the 1820. There's your 40 cents between the three of them. The Zone 1 airmail letter that's heavy spends up in the 85 cent scenic stamp plus the 40 cent tree issue. Another makeup rate thing, it's plus Zone 5 airmail plus registers. Not really a makeup rate. Who knows what the Bombay Philatelic Company is on Nassau Street? You know them, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
After
them
June
well.
30th. Now the rules have changed. We have new postal rates. So the standard domestic letter rate is now 20 cents. So let's slap 2 cents on and send it. That's good, that works. You got somebody else who it's 2.5 weeks after the rates have changed, they just send it, hope it gets through. There's a deficient postage marking, sort of looks like the guy applied it with a cow hoof or something. It's quite a mess. But there's nothing on the back. I don't know what happened, but it's marked as deficient. This is one of my favorites. It's the $2.70 postage to mail this, $2 for registration, 70 cents for postage. So if I'm going to do a $2.70 letter, I'm not sure the first stamp I'm thinking of is the 18 cent to make that up. It's exactly correct. The rate's perfect, but it is very odd how it came together. I had this for years before I was at all interested in the trees. When I put the tree exhibit together, I was looking through my junk collection, and people who've been in my office know it's truly a junk collection. And I was looking for something in a drawer, and I pulled the bottom of the drawer. I found 3 of these fairly large envelopes made into my exhibits. Zone
That's
1
where
and zone. Sorry?
Sorry, that's where all the gold lies, although in the very bottom past where you can see.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's for the zone 1, 2, and 3 postcards were all the same rate, 25 cents. There's zone 1, there's zone 3. I don't have a zone 2, so if you can find me one of these on a postcard that's going to Oceania someplace, like Hawaii, that'd be great. But I haven't found one of those yet. Surface mail all over the countries turns out to be 25 cents, so it fits nicely. David, our good friend Owen White, you see is the addressee.
Yep.
And it looks like it maybe has a non-philatelic. It's from the Royal Society to the Geological Survey. So other than the fact that we know Owen was an active philatelist, there's nothing here that screams philatelic. It looks
He
commercial-ish.
received all kinds of mail.
Yeah,
Anything came in.
there's a lot of Owen White mail kicking around these days. Zone 4 ML letter rates, again, it's a 50-cent rate or an 80-cent rate. Various ways of making it up. Zone 3 to 10 grams, zone 5, 10 to 20 grams, but it's a greeting card. Australia has, if you mail it in December and it's unsealed, I believe is the rule. I'm not sure. It varies. Sometimes it is unsealed, sometimes it's not. I checked Ray after you asked me that question. Right. So the greeting card gets a preferential rate because they want people to communicate back to the old country. I presume it's social engineering of some sort. We'll make your Christmas cards cheaper for you. That makes us a nice government. I think that may be the philosophy. But anyways, zone 3 letter to Pakistan. Again, not an easy place to get letters from. Not ones that are in presentable condition. And then you got this greeting card to zone 5 to Europe. And this is zone 5 airmail letter rate. You got to get to 55 cents, bumped up, or it's a heavier rate and you got to get to 90 cents. This is a deficiency. Domestic postage was 20 cents, not paid. Postage due was double deficiency, or 40 cents, paid with a 40-cent tree stamp. This is, as far as I know, the most expensive of the tree covers that's out there. I was stupid and bought it in the height of the tree cover boom, so I probably paid too much, but it's still pretty nice, pretty unusual use. Almost certainly unique. Airmail letter rates. Zone 4, zone 5, Canada, United States, or Canada, Europe. Another one from this Registrar General. 45 cents for the large, 100 to 250 gram, but it's non-standard because it's too big, plus $2 registration. Non-standard generally means bigger than the letter and thicker than reasonable. There's a thickness limit too. It's probably half a dozen sheets of paper you can jam in the envelope. As long as they were thin paper, not fancy, expensive letterhead, you can get away with it. So that's what makes non-standard. Here's a rate change. Two covers look identical. They're both to Europe, both zone 5. But in June, the rate was 45 cents per 10 grams. So you pay 2 45-cent stamps to pay a double rate cover. Excuse me. Damn it. There we go. After June 30th, the rate changed to 55 cents for the first 10 grams and 35 cents for each additional 10 grams. So 55 and 35 is the same as 45 and 45. So the covers look like they're paying the same postal rate, but they're paying totally different rate structures. Again, the kind of thing you'd cruise by if you didn't understand how rates work and all that stuff. And then May 1985, well outside any reasonable period of use, but showing that there's lots of these things kicking around, still available. People are probably buying them at, whatever, 60 cents on the dollar and using them for postage.
Well, Slade is a collector.
Yeah,
I think as a collector.
yeah, it was a big collector. Had a great West Australia exhibit.
but I don't know who's mailing it to him. I haven't looked on the back to see who's that's to him. So it's to a collector. And collectors are usually those who use most of the discount postage in the market. So not unreasonable to expect that that's what's happening. It's underpaid by 3 cents, but nobody seemed to care. Adding up all those numbers is too much for the average postie, I'm guessing. And that's it.
Very good.
That's great.
Thank you.
Comments?
All I can say is thank you very much. It makes me very happy to see that that collection there, David.
Well, I have right around that time. Later, you have the living together stamps. You got all kinds of postal rates changing all the time. So it's very it's a fertile area to sort around and find rates. It's a pain in the ass to organize them in a way to show them in an exhibit. Trees exhibit fits nicely. It fits one page, no problem. It's a really nice one that way. If I was to do living together, it would fit, I don't know, 40 frame exhibit. So much stuff there.
Is there much in Australia? Is there much acknowledgement of the Rod Perry style of doing things?
I don't know. Ask in Australia. I like Rod Perry. I like Rod Perry's style. Always
Mhm.
have. Spent
No, I think it's fascinating. I think that's what it's all about. You know,
usage
you
is
could-
so much fun. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive to be interesting.
No, and you can end up with a lot of stuff that is hard to find, which I think is the thrill of the chase. I guess I'll use that. I'll steal that phrase from wherever the quote is from. Is what it's worth. The thrill of the chase is so much fun. And once you set out Rod's article on the trees issue, the title is something like "They Don't Grow on Trees Anymore." This was what he told us the article, but it gave me a framework. Then I could go, okay, what can I fill in here? And some of it I have lots of, and some of it I have nothing. So it's quite interesting to do that. And there are so many. As in living together is another great one to do that with. You gotta find something where the rates are changing all the time. So the stamps all are used in a whole bunch of different ways. You know, they turn out to be they're for airmail letters to North America 1 week, and they're for airmail letters to Asia the next month, and then a year later they're airmail letters to Papua New Guinea or somewhere. All the same stamp, but the rates have moved on and they migrate through. So it's a lot of fun.
The moving target.
Very much well, yeah. And you got to have all the rate books to figure it out. So I have a book, Australian decimal rates book, that is, I'll say 75% complete. And that'll be out as a PDF for people to go after fairly shortly. Might use your infrastructure to distribute it, Steve.
Yeah, sure.
Send you a big PDF and say, here it is. I'm stuck in the middle of updating that the Queensland postmarks book. It's going to be updated and out in August, and I've got a lot of stuff in that book. So TPO chapter is mine, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm pretty busy getting that book out, and then I'll go on to the rate book next.
Then you go on to the next unturned stone.
Well, there's a South Australia squared circles book out there that another guy here in Toronto that I've put together, and it's interesting now that the guys in South Australia refer to our listing for verification of some stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's two bums in Toronto, and we know more about South Australia squared circles than they do. So, yeah, if you want to see some really rare stuff, I don't know if I've shown it to this group. I got my Northern Territory squared circles. I have the only collection that has all Northern Territory squared circle cancellations in captivity. But nobody else has had a collection that has them all.
Wow.
And that's
I know you've
because
been into Northern Territory for quite a while.
the influence of Ed Williams. And he gave me some stuff that is astonishingly rare. Yeah, here, don't lose it. I have stock cards still in my office that came from Ed Williams, the stuff on them. And he said, these are special. And keep looking, I'm thinking, he said they're special. I wonder what it is. I gotta keep looking and figure it out. Yeah, that's that influence.
Somebody asked here, what was 68 cents living together used for, and why is it so hard to find used?
I think it's non-standard interest. Hang on a second. Hang on.
I think we'll get the answer in a minute.
While David's looking into that, those of you that are interested in matters of Australia, there's a stamp boards on the internet. People may have seen it. I find it quite interesting to read what goes on there.
I tune in once in a while.
This is my binder for 37 to 68 cent living together using this. See what 68 cents says at the back. 68 cent.
I'm so glad to see your passion has become a sickness.
Non-standard intrastate 50 to 100 gram letters. Not interstate, but intra. So it's within the state, 50 to 100 gram letter non-standard. Most of them come from the Cadbury sweepstakes mailing.
Ah,
Cadbury had you mail the wrapper in, and most of them I got from Cadbury's are unopened. They never opened them, but they drew the envelopes out of the bin and opened the one that won. They didn't bother opening all the other ones. So when you get a Cadbury sweepstake, cover it off. It has a couple of Cadbury wrappers in it. What else have I got? Yeah. That's the only good single use that I have that's apparent to me what it is without trying too hard. I've got used as a makeup rate on the cover from Jabiru, but it's 68 cent tax. No, I have it used as a tax receipt on a letter from Jabiru to New South Wales. It's got a 68 cent to pay tax, and that's paid by a 68 cent one. And I already paid to use a couple 68 cents to get to the rate, but off the top of my head, that's all I know. Send me an email with the exact date and the time you're worried about, time frame, and I'll dig around and give you some ideas. So I've got all the rate books. There's 2 rate books early on I don't have, but I have various people's writings about what the rates were at the time. So other than that, I've got all the rate books.
David, are these those little A5 sized books, about 20 pages? That,
Yep. You go on the Australia Post website today and scroll down to the bottom, and at the bottom you'll see a link that says downloadable price guides. And you go there and it's got the postal charges booklet. That's what they call it. And you can download the postal charges booklet. That's what I do as religiously as possible so that I can keep up to date. I mean, the one that was issued on the 1st of July this year didn't change bugger all.
you're sure of that?
I've gone through it. On the domestic side, it didn't change much. I don't know. I haven't done the international, and I haven't done the express. There are bits when it gets too complicated, I leave it out. So parcel rates are not very well done, represented in the work I've done, because they have those. Parcel rate depends on where it went from and to. So they got a big, row X, go to column Y. That's that, and you get a number, and that's your chart. Your rate is a K3 or something, or an N3. And you go and that tells you what your rate is, so. Those tables I haven't yet put into the book, but they'll get there eventually. And express mail. And the oddball ones, the special rate for leeches, silkworms, and bees. There's a special rate for these. And it's in there, it's there for decades. Until quite recently, there was a rate for the return of motel keys. And you could drop your motel key in a mailbox anywhere in Australia, and the guy or the hotel or the motel would pay the prescribed fee to get when the postman showed up, said, "Here's your keys back, give me 20 cents." And that's how they'd get them back. So I don't know how you document that postal rate. Must be a docket sheet somewhere with these listed. I don't know. But the same with live bees. There's a whole raft of sorted things that are obviously nods to the agricultural heritage and the agricultural lobby. We'll send you this stuff for free. Or articles for the blind, which are free until they're too heavy, then they have to pay for them, both internationally and locally. Ever seen a letter with an articles for the blind sticker on it? I mean, they're pretty free. I have two, and I've been looking for 30 years. They're hard to
In
find.
Australia, I have one or two from other countries.
Yeah, in Australia, I've got
Not common
a
at all.
sheet of the blind booklet, the blind stamps. I can stick them on some covers, fake it, I guess. But yeah, real live articles for the blind letters. Most of them don't have postage on them, if they're local. Small local letters go for free. So yeah, the rate books are full of all manner of weird and wonderful stuff. Particularly this interstate, which pops up in the 70s and 80s, where if the mail went too far, you had to pay more. Those are really odd rates to find, and so anyways, I tend to get really good international stuff. Zone 4, Zone 5 material is abundant in North America. Stuff from the islands and China stuff's pretty abundant now. But in the late 70s, early 80s, there wasn't a lot going on between China and Australia. Australians were deadly afraid of the Great Yellow Peril, whatever they called it at the time. So good commercial mail to Asian places is really quite rare. The 70-cent living together stamp mailed to Hong Kong or China. I have a few that I've discovered from a local source. And I put one up on stamp boards every now and then for 25 bucks and usually selling them about an hour. Because they're hard to find. And I still have a few more.
Well, I know that somebody was asking before about Jerry was saying he collects Northern Territory, so he wants you to give a presentation almost immediately on Northern Territory.
My Northern Territory Squared Circles presentation is canned. I can do it right now if you really want to hang around.
What's that?
I can do it right now if you really want to hang around. It's canned.
You want to do it now? Should we schedule it separate? And
It's the audience. Is the audience
okay,
willing to
is
hang
Jerry
around
here?
or not?
Jerry, you still here?
There's a Jerry still on the screen.
Oh, he's still there. Okay. Jerry?
Yeah, I'd like to schedule it for a separate time.
Thank you. That's my idea too. Don't know why I
Oh,
said
that's what I was thinking as well. I think, and two presentations in one day is
Yeah, and the Northern Territory one's easy to do it anytime anybody likes. The Living Together one I'll do at some point, but I have to prepare it. It's not trying to limit myself to what I call canned presentations. They're already done, ready to go.
Yeah, but I'd appreciate it at some point. I think it'd be great.
yeah.
I don't have much prepared for the post squared circle period, but in squared circle period I got Got every office covered.
And Steve Schumann joined us recently.
Yep, finally here.
Missed all the good stuff.
Oh, well, it's comes with age.
Don't worry about it. I'll get it posted. We'll have it up in a handful of days. So
David,
everybody
David,
will see.
you had that presentation on the trees. Have you done similar things on on other commemorative issues of Australia?
But yes, but not to that depth. They're in the accumulated stage. As the trees one is fully developed. It's a one frame exhibit. The judges can't figure out, so they never give me a very good score. They give me a vermeil and pat me on the back and say, try again if it's confusing. I think it's pretty straightforward, but
I think you should grade the judges.
well, yeah, there's always that.
Can I
And-
ask a quick question? You're talking about Australia definitive sets being collected like what David has shown. I don't seem to hear too much about America. Do they do it in America? Do they do it with Canadian stamps? Do they do it with European stamps? If you can neglect the old classics, but the modern ones.
I think the Germans do. I've got not bad little collection I put together of Machens from Great Britain. Machen postal rates to Australia. I've got another couple hundred of those things stashed away. And some of them are pretty easy, some of them are pretty boring, but some of these quick as air and express things, guaranteed delivery, sign fors, a lot of oddball stuff up there we looked at.
I've seen a Living Together series. I think an exhibit. I think it was New Zealand. So somebody was exhibiting in New Zealand when I was there.
I think the Germans are into it. I'm not really connected to the Canadian philatelic scene. I got no idea what they're thinking about.
I think there are people who are into it. There was some fellow just passed away recently. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I know in the United States, I think his fellow's name is Jerry Wadsworth. He was into meters a lot, but he's also interested in rates and things like that. So that's very modern
The
meters.
US rate book is published by a guy whose last name is just referred to as alphabet. It's one of those giant Polish names, with millions of letters.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Alan's on the call here, so you can talk about it.
It's Vruvrich. Yeah, he had several books on, they're 300-page volumes.
They're real volumes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
the Americans
detail.
collect those Prexy stamps the same way I do the trees, rate by rate by rate.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Prexys are complicated. All kinds of rate. There can be two-zone rates.
Because they're in the World War.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on.
Pacific theater different than the European theater.
Yep. So there's some of it collected, but the really modern stuff is, I don't think, very well collected.
Well, there are people out there that do like the letter rate stamps. There are the people that do international rates, with the circular stamps. They're out there. I mean, do they exhibit it? I don't know.
Yeah, exhibiting is always it's a form of masochism.
Yeah, well, it helps you organize your thoughts. Don't worry about what grade they give you.
The organizing of your thoughts is the fundamental part of it.
Yeah.
And seeing what you're missing.
I think that there should be videos done of people standing in front of their exhibits, explaining their exhibits. And then that can be, otherwise, how do you find out about this stuff? Somebody wins a gold. Well, what's it for? That's it. Who's got time during an exhibition to sit there and be able to clear your head and look at something for an hour and a half? Yeah.
Some people put it on ExpoNet, so that's not a bad place to.
Yeah, that's handy.
And AAPE has a bunch on their website too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, worthwhile looking at.
Steve, what you are doing is just excellent. There should be more of it.
Well, there isn't. I think
BSAP does it.
Yes.
British Society of Australasian Philately does it. Theirs come up in North America at 4:30 in the morning. They're really irritating me. Like,
No, I don't do that.
we've
well, the
mean,
last one had a whole bunch of New Guinea stuff in it.
Oh, yeah?
Uh,
Well,
we've been-
thank you.
Okay,
Hey,
okay,
David,
Steve,
David, I would think quite a lot of this, the overseas rates are quite hard to find, aren't they? Because all the covers which were sent out to other countries, and you don't get access to it easily in Australia.
That,
Do you
yeah,
find that
well,
a lot of that on eBay?
or people, I get lots on eBay. I get a lot from, your basic Abacus from Phoenix and those guys. They have some interesting, I know how much it costs to ship 40 kilos of covers across the Pacific. It's not cheap. And so there's a bunch of those kind of, you buy bulk lots and then pick through and get the good stuff. And, there's a bulk cover dealer here in the city that I dump all of my leftovers on. He
Well,
moves them
David,
on.
what you need is an agent in Australia. Like if you buy something, give it to me and I can go through it and pick it out for you and send it on to you.
Yeah, one for me and one for David.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
I know how that program would work.
Yeah.
Just
So-
pick something you're not very interested in.
so
I was,
there's-
and it's the valuable. We did a rehearsal yesterday, 2 days ago, Roy and Steve and I, and Roy's going along and he says, "Yeah, and I've never seen this on a boarding pass." I'm thinking, just a second, I got one right here. And so, real good dissemination, cross-pollination, movement of information around.
Yes, and when people do things and if things are siloed, the information doesn't pollinate, doesn't cross-pollinate, and I think we all stagnate and suffer as a result.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to have everybody get together and
You need guys like Steve with all those little 10-page brochures he does on some totally obscure part of PNG philately. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
And we need somebody doing that on Queensland. We need lots of people,
yeah.
that kind of energy to put this kind of information out there.
I have a interesting piece here that's coming out in the next meter stamp quarterly about the early history of postage meters in Australia by a person who's quite an expert on it. And I've seen the article and it's great. It's well illustrated. Steve might not have seen it yet, but it should be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Who's the article by?
I think it's Richard Perry.
Richard Peck?
Richard
Yeah,
Peck.
that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
If it's not Richard Peck, if it's not Richard Peck, he'll point out all the errors in it. Yeah.
It is Richard Peck.
Yeah, he's good, very knowledgeable.
He did a whole bunch of publications back, early 90s, something like that.
And into the 2000s, he did a lot on Papua New Guinea too.
And then he just stopped. He did T for tax. He's got a rates book. Half of my, 3/4 of my rates booklets come from his. Yeah.
Yep.
Steve and myself and Wolfgang Hotzel helped. It's a 62-page definitive listing of the meter stamps of Papua New Guinea.
Yep.
Right.
So
And
Well, if you've listed, then you've added some value to Steve's junk pile.
well, yeah, I had to. Actually, I'm not even sure, Roy, I have that latest version. I have a much more spiral bound thing. What you have there looks.
Yeah, this is the one I printed out about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh,
Every one I get, the first thing I do is take it apart, scan it.
Yeah.
Electronically.
Well, for those, Lorraine, are you a part of the Papua New Guinea Philatelic Society?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
I'm UK treasurer.
So you're the Lorraine we talk to sometimes.
Yeah, you are. I am.
Okay. Well, hello. How are you? What?
She's the boss lady as far as I know.
I'm all distracted now.
Well, now Roy, she's going to charge
Hi,
twice
Roy.
as much for next year's dues. Better be careful.
Yeah. No, Lorraine deals with a fellow, a lovely gentleman here in Brisbane. But
Yep.
Alan, are you a meter man?
Yes, I'm editor of the U.S. catalog, or
Okay.
manager of the U.S. catalog after Richard Stambaugh. So I spent a lot of time on wikibooks, editing, adding.
Have I
have a
got something for Have I got something for you about 10 boxes of Papua New Guinea meters?
Oh, wow.
Junk.
Yeah, I'm at the point that I have no more space to put anything. I have about 30,000 uncatalogued items that I have to go through. And I just picked up 2 Puerto Rican meters from the 1940s. So I was very happy. You don't see them as often as you might like. And there again, talking about postal rates, I really appreciated that because that's something I'm really into, especially with special rates like bulk rate or nonprofit organizations, where in the US, the rates would change every 9 months. And then on the meters, they would indicate that by adding so much extra has been paid on the meter slug. And documenting these rate changes. Some of these rates are only in effect for a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Roy, I did a presentation a month or two ago for the Meter Stamp Society on the PVI rates, the PVI labels, the post, the. Now I'm going to hold this up to these. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh yes, the printed stamps,
The counter labels.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'll and I think it's been put online somewhere. I have not, Alan, but I'm not even sure where that's at. It's maybe on the. If you can send me the link to that again, I had it somewhere.
Okay, I'll have to check into that. Kareem might know more about that, but
Yeah.
I'll check. So
because I did a presentation to them. Then I realized how much I knew but didn't include in there, how much I learned in between. I started the presentation at the end, and so I upped the PowerPoint presentation a little bit to try to fill in some of the holes.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, sure. I'll send it along. If I can figure out where it's living right now, and some website somewhere. Oh. Are we done then? Have we all talked out?
I think we're all just filled up with knowledge. We've lost for words.
Either we're filled with knowledge, or we're filled with so much bullshit. We've kind of like completely unmoored ourselves, and so we're drifting.
sensory overload.
Put it on the lawn, help the lawn grow.
Hey, that's what your wives say, or your partners say, who don't share your hobby.
My wife is a quilter, and thus is a serial accumulator of fabrics. So we have what used to be the dining room and what used to be the living room in a fairly decent sized house, and one's for me and one's for her. Works out pretty well.
That's good then. Everybody
But
claims
she
it
just
turf.
said from the back of the den there that I have bigger space than she does.
How can that be? Stamps don't take up nearly as much room as a quilt.
Oh, you want to see? She makes quilts and gives them away. There's not that many quilts in the house. Whenever somebody vaguely connected to the family has a baby, they get a baby quilt. So last year she did 18 baby quilts.
Whoa!
And a couple of quilts for weddings, which are fairly big productions. So yeah, we're not talking an amateur.
At least one quilt every 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
She's cranking.
Yeah.
There are
Steve,
many of them on the go at the same time. They're called UFOs, unfinished objects.
Steve, the display you did on the labels, were they the labels that come out of these resale vending machines?
Yes. Yes. Well, then they're not the red labels. They're the ones that would use. They're called printed PVIs, printed to postage franking machines, counter printed stamps.
Printed value
really-
indicator.
Yeah.
PVI.
That-
Are they the ones that in Britain they call post and go?
They're similar because well, you know, they're these machines that you I guess it's sit behind the counter and the label rolls out. They slap it on and off it goes. But you can buy them
Well,
mint because they do exist mint.
In Britain, it became quite a big thing, this collecting post and go labels. I had a new issue service myself where I didn't collect those. I only collected certain things. But I noticed on the dealer's list that if you collected those labels to the degree which he had them, you were spending about £400 a month. And I
But
mean
that's what you wanted you to
£400 a
do.
month.
So, yes. That's quite a lot of money, actually.
It says it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but it was month after month after month because they were using all these labels with different dates on them, and a lot of the postmasters or the people in charge in the offices, there were certain places where if you went to them, said, "Can you use the old labels on the new stamps?" And so you got some with the 2013 label, some with the 2016 label, and all sorts. And all this stuff was coming up to these huge values each
And the
month.
rates kept changing, although a lot of the stamps are not done by value, but they were done by zone. So like first zone, second zone, or first class,
Yes,
second
that's
class.
right,
So
yes, yes,
they didn't have to keep changing values on the stamps.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Right, Steve, I've got to disappear. I've got a day to start,
Okay.
as opposed to you guys. But no, I appreciate you doing these Zoom meetings. They're you can keep in touch with a few
Right.
people.
No, it's good because we have a chance to have an international lunch right now without having to travel anywhere.
Yep.
Because it
Yes,
gets hard to do. Because whenever if I've been to the internet, I've gone down to Australia, '99 and Canberra and a bunch of other places, and you know, if there's everybody is busy trying to get together, then everybody's busy getting together, then they're busy being tired, then they're busy trying to decide. When everybody's in the same room, they're always someplace else at the same time. So in some ways, this is a little easier because we can actually focus on what we're talking about. We're not worried about dinner. We're not worried about jet lag or the next exhibit. Just talking about what we're talking about.
My wife's been cooking while I'm here in the other room, and I'm beginning to salivate a fair bit.
So it's time to go eat. Fair enough. I agree. All right. And with that note, I thank everybody because everybody's still smiling. It's always good to end on
my dinner,
on a
not breakfast.
good note.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody, and good night.
Okay.
Goodbye all.
Goodbye. Thanks, everybody.